Good morning, dear children. Let me ask you a question. Are you interested in the stories which have some supernatural elements? Since you are children, I hope that you will be interested because you must have heard such stories from your grandmothers, and also I think some of the movies which you watch will have some supernatural elements. Some of the children will be afraid when they watch it, when they read it, and we know that definitely there is no fact behind it, but it appeals to our senses. So definitely you know that one of the emotions that is hidden in our being is definitely fear. So these supernatural elements have some influence on our emotions. So definitely the children will be fond of listening to such type of stories. Okay, and here in this particular lesson, the Voice of Cernogratz. In this Saki, actually his name was Hector Hugh Munro and his pen name is Saki. He describes about a particular castle which has some stories, supernatural stories related with it. Okay, and definitely he is a short story writer, and he is remained as a popular story writer. It is given in your introductory part. Okay, the Lambo Room and Open Window are some of his other famous stories. If you have time, definitely you can go through these stories. You will be getting the matter available in Google. Definitely you can search, since we don't have the library facility and since we are not yet in school. Definitely you can go through the stories if you are interested definitely through Google. It will help you. So let's study this lesson, the Voice of Cernogratz, page number 77. Are there any old legends attached to the castle? Asked Conrad of his sister. Conrad was a prosperous merchant, but he was the one poetically dispositioned member of a highly practical family. Actually, this particular castle is actually belonged to Cernogratz family once, but somehow they lost their wealth and they happened to be in trouble, so they sold this family to some other family. That is, at present the Grubel family is occupying this castle. Okay, so Conrad, one of the family members, asked his sister whether any legends or any stories are attached to this castle. Conrad was a prosperous merchant, but he was one poetically dispositioned member of a highly practical family. Definitely you know this person is from a rich family. Also he is an imaginative person, one who has this power. They can write stories, they are interested in stories, they are interested in inventing stories, and this person wanted to know the story that is associated with this family. The Baroness Grubel shrugged her shoulders. Yes, some stories or some legends are attached to this family. There are always legends hanging about these old places. In this case, there is a story that when anyone dies in the castle, all the dogs in the village and the wild beasts in the forest howl night long. It would not be pleasant to listen to, would it? Okay, what is the answer of the Baroness? You know what is the Baroness means? Or the female or the feminine gender of Baron. Okay, there are always legends hanging about these old places. Yes, some stories are related to this old places. Hanging, that is related to this old places. In this case, there is a story that when anyone dies in the castle, all the dogs in the village and the wild beasts in the forest howl the night long. This is a story. That means when someone from this family dies, there will be the wild dogs will be howling. Also, also the wild beasts in the forest howl the night, and it is not a pleasant sound. When dogs are howling, we don't like, and often we feel that something bad is going to happen. This is not a nice time. That's what we feel. And in similar way, the story is that when someone in this family dies, the dogs in the village and the wild beasts from the forest, they started to howl. That's the story. It would be weird and romantic, said the merchant. He's interested in this. It's strange but romantic. I like it. I like the way the story is associated with this castle. Anyhow, it isn't true, said the Baroness. Since we bought the place, we have had proof that nothing of the sort happens. When the old mother-in-law died last springtime, we all listened, but there was no howling. It's just a story that lends dignity to the place without costing anything. But what is the opinion of Baroness Grubel? She said that, I don't think that the story is right. Since we bought the place, we have had proof that nothing of the sort happens. Means after buying it, we also had some events which we witnessed, but nothing of such kind happened. When the old mother-in-law died last springtime, we all listened. Okay, one person died. That was the old mother-in-law. She died, but there was no howling. So how can we say that all the dogs and wild beasts will be howling? It's just a story that lends dignity to the place without costing anything. Some stories are associated with this castle so that no one will be ready to buy this castle. That's all. The story is not as you have told it, said Emily, the grey old governess. Everyone turned and looked at her in astonishment. She was used to sitting silent and prim and faded in her place at table, never speaking unless someone spoke to her, and there were few who died. And there were a few who did. Today, however, she continued to talk rapidly and nervously, looking straight in front of her and seeming to address no one in particular. Okay, the story is known as you have told it. Okay, there was one old governess, or the one who is engaged in work there, and she said, but her name was Amalie, she said, this is not like that, what do you think? Everyone turned and looked at her in astonishment. Others are guests, they are listening, and they turned and looked at her. She was used to sitting silent and prim and faded in her place at table. Prim means very correct and proper in behavior. Means she will only speak, very rarely. Okay, otherwise she may not speak. That's her nature. Never speaking unless someone spoke to her. And there were few who did. Very few people only spoke to her, and when someone spoke, then only she used to talk. Today, however, she continued to talk, rapidly and nervously, looking straight in front of her and seeming to address no one in particular. Anyway, she started to speak today, even though no one had spoken to her straight. No one had directly spoken to her. She wanted to speak because she knew the fact behind this story. That is why she wanted to speak. It's not when anyone dies in the castle that the howling is heard. It was when one of the Cernogratz family died here that the wolves came from far and near and howled at the edge of the forest just before the death hour. And the dogs of the castle and the village and all the farms around would bay and howl in fear and anger at the whole forest. And as the soul of the dying one left its body, a tree would crash down in the park. But for a stranger dying here, of course, no wolf would howl and no tree would fall. Oh no. Okay. And she is describing the story. It is not when anyone dies. No, you said that when anyone from this family dies, definitely the dog will make, oh sorry, they will howl. No, it is not anyone. But it was when one of the Cernogratz family. Who was the Cernogratz family? The family which were here before the present family. They actually owned this family. And when one of the members of this Cernogratz family died, then only the dogs will howl. Okay. And then the wolves came from far and near and howled at the edge of the forest just before the death hour, means just before dying, in order to announce the death of the person from the Cernogratz family. They will be coming here and they will be howling. And the dogs of the castle and the village and all the farms round would bay and howl in fear and anchor at the wolf chorus. So definitely the dogs in the castle will be there, and also in the village there will be some dogs. They also will be angry at the howling of these dogs, and all the farms round would bay and howl in fear. So they also will start howling and anchor at the wolf chorus. Okay, so that means together they will be howling, including the village dogs as well as the wolves and wild beasts. Everything will be howling together. And as the soul of the dying one left its body, a tree would crash down in the park. Addition to this howling, one tree also will be collapsed or crashed down in the park. They can hear the sound. But for a stranger dying here, of course, no wolf would howl and no tree would fall. But if some strangers are dying from here, no, it won't affect. They may not announce the death of them. Oh no, they won't announce it. They won't howl. There was a note of defiance, almost of contempt, in her voice as she said the last words. The Baroness stared angrily at the old woman. Others are definitely they are dissatisfied by this story, because she told that it is only related to Cernogratz family. That is why there was a note of defiance. Defiance meaning is given disobedience and challenge, almost of contempt. Contempt, that is meaning lack of respect and low opinion. And okay, in her voice as she said last words, and that she expressed this her dissatisfaction that others told that it is related to the death of anyone from this castle, and she said that, oh no, it is not related to anyone, but it is only related to Cernogratz family. The Baroness stared angrily at the old woman. Baroness already we had seen the family name Gruben. You seem to know quite a lot about the von Cernogratz legends, Fraulein Schmidt. She said sharply. I did not know that family histories were among the subjects you are expert in. Okay, and what did she reply? You seem to know quite a lot about von Cernogratz legends. Okay, you know a lot of stories that is related to this Cernogratz family. Fraulein Schmidt. Okay, that is a legend and a man. She said sharply, I did not know that family histories were among the subjects you are expert in. I don't know the stories which you know about this castle. The answer to her tone was even more unexpected and astonishing. And she immediately responded. When she said such an opinion, she immediately responded. I'm a born Cernogratz family, said the old woman. That is why I know the family history. Definitely, I'm also belonging to this family, so I know the family history. You are a born Cernogratz, came in an incredulous chorus. Chorus, it means many people have gathered there as guests, and the unbelieving guest responded, you are also in that family? When we became very poor, she explained, and I had to go out and give teaching lessons. I took another name, but my grandfather spent much of his time as a boy in this castle, and my father used to tell me many stories about it, And of course, I knew all the family legends. When one has nothing left to one but memories, one guards and dusts them with a special care. I little thought when I took service with you that I should one day come with you to the old home of my family. Okay, when she's describing about her family, and she said that she belonged to this family, and she is describing the story. When we became poor, she explained, and I had to go out and give teaching lessons. That means she was just like a baroness, but she lost this family lost their wealth, and she had to go and give teaching lessons, and she received another name. Okay, that is the present name. But my grandfather spent much of his time as a boy in this castle, and my father used to tell me many stories about it. Okay, I know the stories because I heard it from my grandfather and my father, and of course I knew all the family legends, so I'm sure of the family stories. When one has nothing left to one but memories, one guards and does them with special care. That means these people have lost everything, their family, their wealth, and also their rich family tradition, everything is lost. Only the memories are there. So this lady has a fond memory of the legends that is attached to this castle, and it is heard from her grandfather and father. So definitely she is keeping it with a special care. I little thought when I took service with you that I should one day come with you to the old home of my family. And this lady is now a servant in the family of this Gruber. And she never thought that she will be coming here again, and she will be remaining here in the same family of Cernogratz. Actually, she is from Cernogratz family. She never thought that she will be coming to this old family, and she will be experiencing the family legends. Okay, it happened unknowingly. There was silence when she finished speaking, and when the Baroness turned the conversation to other topics. But afterwards, when the old governess had slipped away quietly to her duties, there arose a clamor of disbelief. And there was a silence when she finished speaking. Everyone was listening, and after completing the stories, they kept quiet. They was eagerly listening, and then the Baroness turned the conversation into other topics. They said many other topics. And afterwards, when the old governess had slipped away quietly to her duties, there arose a clamor of disbelief. What's the meaning of clamor? Loud, confused noise. They started to talk each other. What does it mean? What does the story that is related to this family mean? Okay, and here we stop. We'll continue the lesson the next week.